Diary of Wimpy Kid Breaking Board by Jeff Kinney. Much. I have read that in ancient times they used to bury kings and pharaohs with all their possessions. Back then, I guess they thought you could take your things with you into the afterlife. Well, if I get buried with all my junk, I might really reject it later on. Mom said me do some spring cleaning to get rid of things I don't need. Well, that seemed like a good idea until I realized just how much stuff I actually got. I spent the whole morning going through my closet, and it's crazy how much was packed in there. And it's not like it was organized or anything. I have basically been throwing things in my closet since we first moved in. Digging through my closet was like going through my childhood, and the further back I went, the further back in time it took me. The stuff near the front of the closet was all junk I tossed in there over the past year, like homework and comic books. But after I got those things out of the way, I started finding stuff I had forgotten about. I found a model rocket I got for my 10th birthday and a costume I wore for Halloween a few years ago. And there was a bunch of other things I didn't even know I still had. When I dug a little deeper, I found a thing I thought I had lost years ago. It was a binder full of stickers I had collected in the 3rd grade. I used to be obsessed with stickers, especially the scratch and sniff kind. I collected all the good smells like bubblegum and candy floss and the sort of thing, but I had all the really gross ones too. So when a kid on my street wanted to know what giraffe poop or rotten meats loaf smell like, they would come to me. One of these days, I'm gonna write my autobiography, and it's gonna include scratch and sniff stickers to mark all the different moments in my life. And that's when I realized I stepped in the dog poop. I kept digging through my closet and found stuff from kindergarten like a fish I made by tracing my hand onto a top of piece of card. I used to love doing arts and crafts back then, and if anyone ever tried to bully me about it, they would get a face full of glitter. And the project I found in my closet was a gift I made for my mom in preschool but never gave her. It was a paper flower with a picture of my face in the middle, glued to a popsicle stick. When I made the thing, I put in a little pot filled with earth, but I tripped on front of step when I got home from school that day, and that's why I never gave it to her. I was glad when I finally reached the back of my closet, but to be honest, I was a little disappointed too. When I was younger, I read this book about these kids who could visit a whole different world by using through their wardrobe, and I always wondered if I might be able to do the same thing with mine. But I thought that whoever lived on the other side might not be too happy with me for tossing all my junk in there over the years. When I told mom I was done emptying my closet, she said I needed to put everything into 3 piles: one to keep, one to donate, and one to throw away. But I figured if I had to let go of any of my junk, I might as well make some money from it. So I decided to have a yard sale. Mom thought that was a great idea. So she gave me a magazine that had all the sorts of tips on how to do it right. All the ideas in the magazine were corny and old-fashioned though. There was one section on how to create a sign to get people to come to your yacht sale, and all the examples they showed were really boring. Cool stuff sale, look, yacht sale, this way, yacht sale. I knew that if I wanted people to actually show up to my yacht sale, I needed to do something a little more eye-catching. So I wiped up a sign I knew would do the trick. 100 bell found payment. I made few copies of my sign and headed out to post them around the neighborhood. but mom stopped me before I got out of the front door. Mom made me make signs that were more like the ones in magazine. And after that I was finished, I stapled them to some telephone poles on our street. Then I hauled everything down from my bedroom and started setting it all out on some plastic tables. Each table had its own category, like clothes and books and that kind of thing. But some stuff wasn't easy to categorize, so I had to get creative. I had a bunch of gifts from my grandparents and older relatives that I have never even touched. So I put all those things together on one table. Great gifts for you, grandkids. I also had a bunch of birthday cards that were still in pretty good shape. So I used some T-Pex to cover up my name and set them on their own table. I put all my broken toys on another table and hoped some little kids who couldn't read would come to the yard sale. I stuffed all my random items like marbles and a few pencil stubs into some sockets and pinned them into to a table. I also created a table full of things for people who had money to burn. I put all my old arts and craft projects on their own table, just in case some kids needed a gift for their parents but didn't want to put in the time. When I was finishing up, Mom came outside to check out my yacht sale, and she seemed pretty impressed. But she said I should hold on to the things I made myself. Since the stuff is very special, I told Mom that if she wanted something, she could always buy it herself. So she offered me $3 for the paper flower I made for her preschool. Mom seemed pretty eager to have the thing, and I could tell it was worth more than $3 to her. So I told Mom it was hollers for 10. I guess I pushed my luck though, because she went back inside without buying anything. While I waited for customers to show up, I started getting a little nervous. I realized that all my stuff was just lying out in the open, and I had no way to stop people from stealing it. So I called my best friend Rolly Jefferson and asked him to come down and be my theft prevention officer. But Rolly said he was supposed to do something with his dad this afternoon, so he couldn't help me with the yacht sale. I told him I would promote him to the thrift prevention manager, and he had even get a way to batch. Luckily, that did the trick. As soon as Rolly got to my house, he started asking me about the badge. All I could find was my old firefighter costume, but that seemed to make him feel important.